Time about my crazy ex. Before I get started, I highly recommend you grab a water, a snack, get comfy, plug in your phone because this is not going to be a short story and you're not going to want to miss this. The no contact order ended today, so I can finally share the story. Set the scene. This is my senior year, so this is last year in March. I broke up with my ex, my boyfriend then. I broke up with him over text, and now before you say anything, while we were dating, he told me to break up with him over text because he would never be able to do it in person. So I followed his wishes and I broke up with him over text. That same day, he gave me back everything I ever got him, and I had to give him back his stuff. Nothing happened that rest of the week. I broke up with him on a Wednesday. We had school that Thursday. Just saying some things. We exchanged some not kind words over text message. I won't go over those, but that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we had our senior trip and he wasn't going on it, so I didn't see him the rest of the weekend. He was saying some stuff about me at school the following Monday, and I just blew it off. It's really not that big of a deal. Come that PE class that day, we were supposed to play kickball and he's dribbling basketball. Next thing I know, it's in the back of my head. He threw a basketball at the back of my head. Go to the Grwn's concert, the day moves on. I'm only at school for half a day, so when I go to my car at lunch, when I leave for the day, I find that someone had been in my car and poured pop all inside my car. The cameras caught him doing it. I don't even remember if he got in trouble for that stuff. The next day, that morning, I'm sitting in my car about to go into school and he comes up and knocks on my window. I'm terrified because are you going to hurt me? He hands me a card and he just said read it. I can't remember the exact words, but in it was a note about him apologizing and that he was super sorry, and a grad card telling him that I could still come to his grad party. Honestly, I was appreciative of the apology at the time. I was still hurt about the fact that he threw a basketball at the back of my head. I just remember being scared. Later that day, when I'm on my open period for lunch, he also has the same open period as I did. So he followed me to my cousin's house where I was going, actually my roommate now. Here's our driveway, here's the road. He pulls up behind me, rolls down his window, and asks if we can talk. I tell him no. He asks if he can say something, and I say yeah, just say it, shout it. And he says, come here. I tell him no. My uncle comes out, asks if everything's all right, and he drives away. Next day, so this is Wednesday, we're in our fourth period class, and he's talking about how we are going to play dodgeball with basketballs again that day, and I'm freaking out because I don't want a basketball to the back of my head again. So I skip out on PE that day. I just remember I was talking to my principal about something. I don't remember what was going on. I just remember talking to my principal. I ended up leaving his office and going to my car for my open lunch, and there's X, here's me. His car is pulled in this way and mine is facing this way. He has a hatchback and my car's locked now because I locked my car, and I'm trying to unlock my car. I'm fiddling with my keys. He's in his back doing something in his car, and I hear something fly by my head, so I look over at him and I get a water bottle straight to the face. Walk back into the school. My principal told me he had seen everything. My ex had sped away, drove away. I just waited in there and talked to him, and then I think I went home, if I remember correctly, and I think he got a 2-day suspension or something like that, because I walked in one time to the office and the suspension rooms were right by the front desk, and he came out of the room and told me to enjoy my 2 days because after that he was going to make my life a living hell. So after that, my whole school pretty much knows what's going on. There's teachers talking about me, and honestly, if any of you are watching this, please stay out of teenagers' business because honestly you make them feel so alone. And please do better, because talking about a student in their personal life with other students is really embarrassing on your part. While I was dating this guy, I pretty much followed the same exact schedule, so he knew my day-to-day life and knew where I was going to be at certain times. So it really terrified me, and he started making comments to people about how he was going to wreck my car, and I was hearing about it, And so I had to start parking my car in like hiding places and places where he wouldn't be able to find it. After a while, I didn't hear from him, and it was actually kind of nice. I mean, he said like things under his breath. I still heard people talking about me at school, but it just kind of died down until one morning we were leaving for a field trip for my PE class. We were going bowling, walking in the parking lot, and all of a sudden I hear a car speed up, and I look, and there's this car heading straight for me and my friend walking into the school. My dad didn't want to file a no contact order or like a restraining order or anything because my dad's had things on his record and he knew he was still a kid. He was 18 at the time, my ex, and I was 17. But as soon as my dad found out that he was speeding towards me in his car, my dad had the appointment set up right away. After the no contact order that was filed a year ago today, it's May at this point, and I start getting hate comments on my TikTok videos, which is fine. Like, I can filter them, see them. But these ones are from some random account. The circle, like, for his profile picture has the letter of his name, and he's commenting really personal stuff, saying I should, and saying that my freshman year should have worked and it would have been better off for everyone else. One day when I'm walking out of school to leave for my lunch, he's talking to these two girls who I knew and thought were my friends. I have no hate against them anymore, but talking about me, and he said some really rude names, like he was talking to them but looking at me. I told my mom about it. My mom called the school, the principal talked to him. I'm at home, I'm heading into work. Next thing you know, he's on my road heading towards my house, which is nowhere near his. And I pull into my spot at work and he followed me there. Long story short, he throws a pop can at the back of my car, speeds away. The cops, they catch him on camera at my work. The cops can't find him for 2 days. They eventually arrest him. Everyone in my school knows as soon as he breaks out, and his story is that he was going to the store to get his mom coffee creamer, and he had nothing to do with me, and I'm just making this all up. Fast forward to the end of the month, I'm talking to this guy, and my ex finds out because the neighbor across the street told my ex that I was hanging out with this guy, and he drove by and he texted the guy I was hanging out with saying, "Good luck with that one, she is a handful." Anyways, nothing else has happened since then. I have no hate against his family. I really liked his mom and sisters, and honestly, I just wish him the best. I've heard he's doing good. I hope he's still doing good. It just made me really want to end my senior year. It was a scary time for me. I probably missed some small details in here because it was just so much in the span of like a month and a half that went on in my life that didn't even seem real. But that's generally all I have to share today with you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I love you all. Bye!
Story time on the time a manager was doing brujeria on me. You know that saying, a girl's #1 hater is always gonna be another girl? Yeah, that's literally true. The first like month of me working there was like okay. There was no like major shift. However, when I saw her, I got like a really bad vibe. A month after I'm working there, my skin starts to get bad and my hair starts to fall out even more, and I lose all motivation to do my makeup. Like, I'm telling you guys, like I had never went through a phase where I didn't want to get ready. Started like I feel really insecure. Like, I'm talking about, I generally hated myself. Never suffered from that, so I was like literally losing it, and I started having a lot of problems at home. I come from a household where it's so problematic, but it was never that bad. Talking about literally almost leaving home type of bad. I had never like been through that, so for me it was like everything was happening at once. Mind you, I was 17 turning 18 when this was happening. For some reason I felt like the money I made from there no me duraba. Like, I feel like it would go away like really fast. The money wasn't abundant type of thing. The car that I drive is not really my car, it's my mom's car, but she has let me borrow it until I get my own car. Basically, the car has never ever presented problems. Like, never. Like, it's a good ass car. Like, I love that car. Then yeah, my car starts having problems. Like, a lot of money was being put in the car, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? What made me generally like start to lose it is I started gaining a lot of weight. The most I've ever weighed in my whole life, like at that point, was like 140. I started going up 160, 170, went up to 180. That was literally like, it hit me really hard because I was like gaining a lot of weight, and it was like, what do I do? And like, no matter how much like I tried to lose the weight, I couldn't. Started having problems with food too. Mind you, this was never a fucking thing. Like, this was never a thing till I started working there. This is why I'm like why didn't I realize this sooner? Like, this is a part where it's like, okay, it's personal, it's physical, like everything that's going on with how I look and stuff. That's how it started. Then summer comes along and a lot of like new people get hired. All of a sudden, so much problems start happening there. Like, I'm talking about like drama with everybody. People were arguing. It was like a chaos company. Like, for some reason, not to sound like that type of person. Everybody always sees me as a therapist. I don't know why. If I just give off like therapist vibe, or like if I'm just like give off like a really calming vibe to people that they trust me enough to tell me their problem, everybody there would come to me to tell me stuff. Be like, oh, like this and this happened with this person, this and this happened with this person. And it got to a point where there was so much drama that I was like, I need to tell our manager, like she needs to know about this, because it started to get physical with people, like people pushing each other. People got physical with me. And if you know me, you know I don't have tolerance for BS like that. Like when somebody puts their hands on me, oh, it's done. Like you're done. So I organized a meeting with our manager and we talk about everything that's going on, blah blah blah. Everything gets sorted out, and drama's still happening at the store, and included my manager, the one that we're talking about right now. Fast forward a couple months, all those people that were there for summer weren't there anymore. I believe I was like one of the only like OGs that was there. Holiday season, a bunch of new people come in. These are like grown-ups now. Like these are people that are like 25, 30s. Like these are grown up. Like I was one of the youngest ones there. It's starting to click in my head like what's going on. Like something about her is weird. We did have a rumor, like with that summer group that was working there, we had a rumor that she was a witch, but it was never like a thing where we were like really instigating about it. We generally all thought about it because like she does look like one. Not in a bad way, but she just like gives out that vibe. Holiday season's over. It's already like March by this point. Me and my coworker, I had a coworker that I was really close with, he starts to tell us that he's having a lot of problems with his boyfriend, and he's like, this never happened until I started talking about it with the manager. And we were like, oh, that's weird. The manager, like I said, she's really pretty, and like guys there would literally drool over her. Like they were thirsty for her. Like they would bring her free drinks, free food. Like all of a sudden, one of our other coworkers, she starts to receive gifts, flowers. Guys like generally like be over her, and we noticed our manager like starts to make faces and like feel some type of way about it because guys weren't paying attention to her anymore. It was not to the other girl. We were like, that's weird, and it's giving hater. Why would you feel some type of way if you're not getting male attention? Like why do you need male attention? You know, like personally, I'm a big hater when it comes to male attention. Like, and then all the people that were there, they start telling us that they are experiencing weird stuff that wasn't happening before people started working there. Like we started coming up to the conclusion that our life started going downhill when we started working there. I hadn't opened up to anybody about like my personal experience. If you know me, you know that I'm not the type of person to open up that fast. I hold back a lot of stuff, and I'm just like the person that I'd rather listen than talk. Like I don't say much, right? This time I was like, wait, like this is actually something serious. So I started telling him like, oh well, I experienced this and that, and like my health, y'all, like my health started to get really bad. Started to get really sick, and we're all just connecting the dots. My coworker, he tells me, oh, this one time I was talking to her, telling her that there was a lot of bugs in the store because there was like a bunch of bugs. And I'm a very spiritual person. Like I believe in God and I believe in spirituality. Like you know how they say whenever there's like bugs in your home or in a place, it's some type of like work being done there, like bad energy basically. He tells her about it. Her ear starts bleeding. The hell, genuinely, what the hell? One night, and my coworker, we stayed till like I believe it was like 12. We were there, the power went out. We call our manager and she's like, you guys are gonna have to wait till the power comes back up so that you guys can close the registers because we were the only ones closing and there was no power for us to count the registers and basically close the store down. We're like, oh my gosh, okay, power comes back up, power goes back down again, and we're like, oh, we're leaving. Once the power comes back up, we are getting our stuff, and the store has glass doors, so when they're locked and you pull on them, you can hear the glass like, you know, make a sound. And somebody pulled on the thing and like knocked, and we looked at each other and I literally poked my head out. There's nobody there. We were like, hell no. And all you saw was a balloon floating around the like outside of the store. Literally, what the hell? Well, at this point we already know like, okay, something is definitely going on here. We literally book it that night, we leave, we go home, and he calls me, he starts telling me like, we literally need to like have a conversation with all the other co-workers that work there, and we did. And then they started telling us like, oh, stuff started happening to me, my car started to break down, guys started following me, and guys started to follow me too, y'all. Like there was this one time that there was a guy that followed me from the store, from where I worked at, to this shopping center that I had went out right after work. Bro, like it started to get really weird, and we started basically, the girls started to attract really weird guys. That's why I'm like, this is like what basically made us open our eyes and be like, oh, there's something weird going on here. And this is the reason why I quit. Everybody else thinks I quit for a different reason, but through honesty and the people watching this that work with me and know what I'm talking about, this is the reason why I quit. My mom starts to tell me that I need to quit the job. Like I don't know what, she's like, you need to quit. Like my mom just had a feeling, but I was like, no mom, like I need the money. And my mom is the type of person that she's always like, never take food from like people at work, never take food from people you don't know. Like you never know what they could put on that, and you never know what type of like evil they have against you. So I tell her about it. My mom contacts the lady, and the lady literally texts her back, this lady, she looks like this, and your daughter's going through this, and generally starts describing all of my problems with like acne, body weight, my face, everything, like without the lady even seeing me, mind you. The lady had no idea how I looked like. That's how I know this was real and it wasn't just like some type of scam. She tells my mom how much she's gonna charge her for the limpia. Let me just tell you, that thing was not cheap, y'all. Like that thing was more than a band, and it worked. I get the limpia done. The lady tells my mom that lady had a photo of me. I'm like, where is she gonna get a photo of me if for some reason all the times they took like group photos at work, I was never there. However, in my thing of like to check my schedule, they let you put a photo. I had a photo on there, so I don't know if she was able to get that info and actually get the photo. Basically, what I was told is that she was doing work on me to make me uglier, make me not like myself, to make my skin look worse, to make my body like basically to develop body dysmorphia type of thing, which indeed did happen. She has a doll, and basically like she designed that doll to make me look like that doll, which was like an ugly ass doll. And I tell you, as soon as we did that limpia, everything got better. For my 2 weeks in, but I literally like didn't even finish my last 2 weeks. I literally left, like I still had a week left before I was like done for there. I left. I didn't show up, and this was all due to jealousy. Why? Because I was younger than her, and because obviously when you're young you look good. Like she would always make this comment of, "Ugh, I wish I was you guys' age because you guys are so young." Girl, the that I got was not like your typical acne that you can pop or put a pimple patch. They were like little like bolitas, and like if you would pop them they would bleed, and like they would be deep into your skin and leave scars. Past that, and all I'm gonna say is I wish her nothing but the best. I don't have any grudges against her. It's all love and peace from my side. Oh my god, I missed the big points. Hello. One time me and her were talking, and she tells me that she went to get a haircut, and something happened with the lady. She was like, that lady gave her evil eye, and she was like, best believe I did some work on her. What does that mean? Like what does that mean to you? Exactly. She did some type of witchcraft or whatever it is that she did. And we had a theory that her soul or her spirit basically was trapped into that store because she never wanted to leave. Like, you would get such a bad vibe when you were in that store, and when she was around, like, we had a coworker who could literally sense when she was around. She could, like, sense her darkness. She'd tell us, she'd be like, oh my gosh, she's here. And then, like, 5 minutes later, she would walk in. Like, you could sense that negative energy. Basically, be careful who you surround yourself with. Be careful who you take food from. Be careful who you let touch your hair. Please, matter of fact, please never let somebody touch your hair. Rule number 1, never let somebody touch your hair. The only person that should touch your hair is you. Don't just be hugging anybody, because people out there do feed from your energy, and as delusional and crazy as this sound, be careful. It's so much easier for another girl to do work on another girl because of jealousy, and it's always jealousy and insecurity. That's basically the story time, y'all. Yes, I know. I don't have contact with this lady anymore. I don't work there anymore, clearly. Thank y'all for watching. Low-key, I'm a little shy to post to get ready with me. Like, I get so nervous.
I just went on a first date so horrendous that I had to have one of my friends call me with a fake emergency, which I have never in my years of dating in New York City had to do. Anyways, I meet this guy at a bar, and it's going fine. I don't like him, and like I know I won't see him again like within literally the first 5 minutes, because he's like, it's just like his aura. Like he looked exactly like his pictures, but he was like fully hunched over, like he's speaking so slowly, like it was just not a vibe, you know? Like, we were just not getting along. And I could tell that he really liked me, which I thought was surprising, because I was like, I am giving you nothing. Anyways, like 20 minutes into the date, when I'm like, kill myself, I hope this is over, can I go home now? He's like, tell me about your worst date story. I don't know why. That doesn't seem like good date conversation. But I'm like, okay, so I'm thinking about it because I want to be like this one, but I don't feel like that's socially acceptable. So he's like, okay, like in the meantime, I'll tell you about mine. But he like volunteers to tell it, but then is like super hesitant about sharing. And I'm like, no, you started this. You have to share yours, you know? And so he's like, oh, like I went to go get drinks with this girl. And then after we went to like this hotel photo booth, and like, you know, girls love that shit. And I was like, this sounds like a good date. And you went to a second location too. So how bad could it be? And he was like, no, it was a great date until like we went back to my place. And I was like, what date was this? And he's like, it's a 9th or 10th date. Immediately no, because why are you sharing a story about someone you went on 10 dates with? A bad date story has to be a first date, maybe a second, because like 10 dates in, that means you have terrible judgment, like something is wrong with you, like you are like fully dating this person at this point. And so anyways, he's again like very hesitant. He's like, I don't want to share the rest of the story. And I'm like, bitch, you won't share it because you started this. So then he was like, yeah, and then one thing led to another, and she was giving me a hand job. Why did you think that that's appropriate? And anyways, so then he's like, and then she angled it upwards. So he was like, I came in my eye. Those are words that I never thought I would hear on a first date. Came in my eye. I came in my eye. And I'm like, I'm sat there with my lychee martini. Like, what? And then he's just like, yeah, and it really burns. Now I have many questions. Do you have radioactive jizz? Like, why does it burn? It shouldn't burn. I was like, you need to drink more water. Drink more water. So then I'm like, I just am speechless. I'm sat there, and he's like, yeah, so then I go to wash out my eye, and it's like bright red. Like, it's like very bright red. And so then he's like, I lay down, and she's trying to comfort me. So she like starts cuddling me, but I like am very irritated. So I ask her to leave. I'm sure disrespectfully. I'm sure he was rude. I don't think what men don't understand, when you tell me a story about another girl on the first date, I'm always on her side. You're always in the wrong. You are almost always in every story you guys tell about women, I'm like, give me her number so I can text her about how terrible you are. So then he's like, yeah, I ask her to leave. And he's like, I walk her downstairs. I don't think he walked her downstairs, because why would you tell me that you walked her downstairs when like that's just like implied. If you ask somebody to leave, you like are a courteous gentleman and walk them downstairs. So he's like, she texted me and was like, that was mad disrespectful how you rushed me out of your house. I'm on her side. And he's like, and then we broke up. That's your worst date? Are you? Anyways, I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. So then I go to the bathroom. I text everybody I know. I said, call me with an emergency. Call me with an I call my mom from the bathroom. I'm like, Mom. She doesn't answer because she like fucking hates me. But I leave on her voicemail that I'm like, hey, I know you want me to get married like so fucking bad. But just so you know, the men in the marriage market right now in New York City are coming in their fucking eyes. Just so you know. And I was like, call me back. But they're coming in their eyes. And I left that on my mom's voicemail, on my mother's voicemail, on the woman who birthed me. Because it's getting out of hand, guys. And then he texted me after and was like, oh, like, I had a great time. I'm on my phone with my friend telling her that this was the worst date I've ever experienced in my whole life. And he texts me, I had a great time, would love to see you again. And I text him, like, you know, I don't think that it's a good fit, like, best of luck. And he texts me, I hope your TikTok pops off. So do we think he made up this story? Like, I'm just like, there's so many twists and turns.
My mom went to prison when I was 17. Let's talk about it. So when I was in high school, early high school, my mom had been working for a national insurance agency. I'll keep all that information private because I'm not sure what I can talk about. I don't think that there's anything I can't talk about, but just in case. So she worked for a vice president of the company that was over a region in the U.S. So I don't know, I think he maybe had around 5 or 6 states that he was responsible for. At the time, she was the only employee. I think she was kind of like a receptionist or administrative assistant. Apparently, she ended up doing a good enough job. She got a promotion. I don't know what her job title was. They hired, you know, another receptionist. So at that point, I think there were about 3 people total in the office. Part of this job required them to travel to conventions and events for work. I happen to know that her boss was very generous on these trips. My dad would go on the trips with them, and I would hear when they would get home how at the dinner tables they would be buying, you know, $1,000 bottles of wine and, you know, just no expense spared for these trips. And leading up to those events, I know that my mom needed clothes to wear to the event, and I know that her boss said, hey, go grab whatever you need. Put it on the company card, no problem. My mom has a history of poor financial decisions. And after her boss kind of started giving her some lax access to the company card, over time, I think she started taking liberties with that card that he did not know about. I will say over the years that she was there, she had gastric bypass surgery, so she lost a lot of weight. She got a boob job. She's also very young. She had me as a teenager. So at this point in time, she was maybe in her early 30s. So she was looking good. I don't think anything ever happened between her and her boss. I genuinely don't. I do think that the boss might have had the perception that something could happen. But again, this is just from my outside perspective. There's a lot of this that we really haven't ever talked about, and I kind of don't want to know the answer to. So there were some things that happened that were kind of a gray area. I did go up to the office and work for them. I was a teenager and wanted to earn some extra money, so I would go up and put together like pamphlets for conventions that they were doing, expos, whatever. Would just do some light office work, and her boss was there. He knew they were paying me. I don't know, maybe I was making $10 an hour or something like that. But that was all on the up and up. But it did give me a little bit of insight into the internal office operations. I do know at one point her boss bought our family an above ground pool. And I think that was kind of like a bonus for my mom. And I know that that was legitimate because one of the times that I was up at the office working for them, he stopped and asked me how we were enjoying the pool and he hoped that we liked it and all that. Long story short, my mom also bought a lot of other things that I don't think were blessed by him. We got all new carpet in our house, new furniture, new curtains. She had a lot of new clothes that were not necessarily for trips that they were going on. From what I heard, at some point in time, her boss's wife saw the American Express card and saw the pool charge on there and asked her husband what the pool charge was. And he said that he had no idea what it was. I think that prompted his wife to dig in more and kind of uncovered all of these other charges and expenses. And I think that he was faced with, you know, either having to accept some ownership of the situation or completely act like he had no idea what was going on. So he went with the latter. and that prompted an investigation from the insurance company. They pursued charges. And then the next thing that I know, we have FBI agents at our house questioning us. My mom went through a very long process with this whole court case. There's a lot of subsequent parts to this story, so I'll just leave it at this for right now. And if anybody's interested, I can do a part 2, part 3. Obviously, being a teenager, by the time she actually left to go to prison, I was a junior in high school. Obviously, as you can imagine, this had a huge effect on my young adult life. All right, so this is part 2 of my mom going to prison when I was a teenager. I wanted to start this video by saying that I have talked to my mom about sharing this information on TikTok because it feels kind of bad because there's a lot of negative stuff about her and with this whole story, but her story is my story. We've worked through a lot of things. We still have a lot more things probably to work through, but we're in a decent place, and she said if it makes me money on TikTok, then go ahead and share it. So anyway, I think where we left off was around her being sentenced to prison. This was a really tough time for us because we actually lost our house around this time, my childhood home. My mom had historically had a spending problem, and my dad had a historic problem of not holding her accountable for the spending problem. So one of my jobs as a teenager was checking the mail when I got home from school every day. We started getting flyers in the mail that were like, stop home foreclosure now. I guess there's a list that you get on if your mortgage payments are behind. So they looked pretty serious. So I asked her about them, and she said, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Well, apparently it was a big deal because I was home by myself one afternoon, and a guy came to the front door and said, hey, I just bought your house at an auction. Can I come in and look around? So that was pretty traumatic. At the time when I was working in high school, I was also working part-time for a bookkeeping and tax office and had some money saved up. So I actually fronted the money for our first month of rent from this man so that my mom could buy some time before she had to tell my dad and figure out what we were gonna do next. So during this time, and I'm not quite sure if it's right before sentencing or right after, but my boyfriend at the time and I got home one evening, or back to my house one evening, and we found her unresponsive on our kitchen floor. She had taken a bunch of pills, I think mixed with alcohol. And this is something else that to this day, we have not talked about this at all. We've never talked about it. I had to call an ambulance. My dad went with her to the hospital. She was committed for, I don't know if it was 36 or 48 hours, but that's another thing that she just came home and we never talked about it. Another thing that I did not realize was traumatic at the time, but now as an adult, I look back on it and think that was a little messed up. Her attorney, she had entered a plea deal, and her attorney had me and my brother and sister write notes to the judge to try to appeal to his, heartstrings to not sentence her for too long. And we also had to go to her sentencing hearing at the federal court building downtown. So I look back on that and just imagine my own kids sitting in that room in that situation, and it makes me really sad for my younger self and my siblings, but it's just something that was just part of our life. She ended up being sentenced to 36 months at FMC Carswell, which is a low security prison in Arlington, Texas, which was about a 5 or 6 hour drive from here. So once a month I would take my little brother and sister to go visit her. And there's a lot of stuff that went on while she was in prison, and I can talk more about the prison visits and what it was like to visit the low security prison there, and kind of some of the other drama that happened while she was there. And then, her subsequent time at a halfway house when she came back to Central Arkansas. So if anybody's interested in hearing that, just let me know.
Something happened to me the other day, and I'm ready to talk about it, and it's a good story and warning as to why you should always stay hyper aware and vigilant of your surroundings and area, especially in situations where you wouldn't think anything would happen. So I was at my law school prom the other night. They do those things. They're called barristers' balls, and it was at an event venue that was closed off, just our event. And immediately when my friends and I get there, we make a beeline to the bathroom. Kinda. We sit down for a second, but it's at these tables on one side of the room right when you enter. And we go to the bathroom. There's a line. It's 2 single stall bathrooms. So when you get in there, you're the only person in there. It's just like a little room type deal. We wait our turns. I go into the open bathroom that's waiting before me after waiting my turn. And I get in there, do my business, I go pee, and I set my phone on top of the garbage can lid. It's one of those garbage cans that opens like that, and there's a little button aspect.
I'm doing that when I wash my hands and stuff, and I dry my hands, and I just exit out the door. And my one friend, he's waiting, and him and I start to walk towards the open area. But instantly, so I'm only about like 6 seconds from the bathroom leaving when I realize I don't have my phone with me. Where did I put my phone? It's on the lid of the garbage can, right? Well, when I was leaving the bathroom, I like looked at the girl that was going in behind me. I knew what she looked like. I had seen her in line because I liked her dress. I liked her black dress and her gold chain that went around it. Right. So I go back and I park it right in front of the door, just waiting, and I tell the other people in line what I'm doing. They're like, yeah, get your phone, girl. And my buddy's sitting right next to me too, and we're just waiting. And I hear her wash her hands, dry them up, put them in a garbage can, and then walk out the door. And when I see her and when she opens the door, I immediately almost wanted to say something like, hey, I left my phone in the bathroom, like almost like I'm sure you saw it, and almost saying that preemptively in case she had picked it up going to go turn it in or something. I wanted to stop her right there. But she just kept walking, and I didn't even end up saying anything because she just like walked straight out. But I like looked at her and stuff, and I go to the bathroom and I go, and on top of the lid there's no phone. There's no phone on top of the garbage can, which didn't panic me at first because it makes sense. She used the paper towels, she had to throw them away. So I look around the area of the trash can. I can't find it anywhere. I open the trash can, say maybe it fell in there somehow because physics works like that. I don't know. I don't see my phone, but what I do see is a gold chain belt sitting on top of the paper towels. And I was like, huh. Well, first off, I was like, why'd that girl throw that belt away? It was really cute on her. I wonder if it broke or something. Second off, I was like, oh, as if I needed more confirmation that that girl was in there right after me and right before I just went in there again looking for my phone. Obviously, I saw her with my own eyes. It wouldn't have been humanly possible for anybody else to get in and get back out in the 6 seconds it took me to walk back to the bathroom. But I walk out with my buddy and he's like, was it in there? And I'm like, nope, it was not. And so I instantly start going out to look for her because I'm like, okay, well, I know she had to have seen it. And maybe she did pick it up and like was going to turn it in or something. I didn't ask her originally. And I'm looking around and I can't find her anywhere. And then my best friend, Kennedy, who's a genius, gets the realization pretty quickly, oh my god, wait, my phone has found my iPhone, I'm tracking you, like, or I have your location, it'll show us exactly where it is in this room. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, let's do it. And she gives me her phone, and it's like, originally the arrow thing is moving all around, like, not like this, but it's just like moving. And it's like the distance is different and it's weird, and I realize I'm also moving in this moment too, so it's kind of hard to like, narrow in when I'm also moving and then my target's moving. But I look and eventually it stops and it's like pointing dead ahead, and like the distance that it says, I see that girl in the black dress. No belt this time because that's in the garbage. Whatever. And I walk like right up to her and my buddy's right behind me, and I say like, hey, like, I'm so sorry to bother you. You had gone in the bathroom right after me, and I had left my phone on top of the garbage can lid, and I went back and I didn't see it in there. By any chance, did you see it when you went in there? Like, maybe I'm crazy and I did not bring it in there and I just made up that memory. I don't know. I would believe that, honestly. But I knew I said it on top of the garbage can. And I just said, like, did you accidentally pick it up, like, thinking it was yours, or, maybe bringing it in to Lost and Found? And she's like, no, sorry, I didn't see anything. And I immediately was kind of, like, taken aback, because I hadn't considered getting that answer. Because, I don't know, I just never ran that thought process of getting that answer of, no, I didn't see your phone, or see a phone or anything. And so I'm kind of like dumbfounded. Instantly, I hit a roadblock and I was ready to give up. But also, I'm in a lot of debt and I need that phone. I can't get onto like any of my accounts without it. I am helpless. And I just kind of look at her, and she like sets her drink down, and I look at her setting her drink down. And you know what was sitting right next to her drink? I see something that looks like my phone case. It is my phone case, in fact. And I kind of like, and I point, and my buddy's like, is that your phone? And I said, that, excuse me. And like, I just kind of like pointed like from my little side angle, because I didn't want to just reach across and grab it, because that would have been rude, especially if it wasn't my phone. That would have been awkward, and I would have looked crazy. But also at the same time, it was my phone, so I think I could have warranted doing that. But I pointed, I go, is that looks like my phone right there. And I was like, is that your phone? And she just like picks it up and just goes like, oh, no, I don't know whose phone this, or she just goes, literally just says, I don't know whose phone this is. And I just like, she just hands it, and I just like take it, and I was like, yeah, this is my phone, thank you. And I walked away. And honestly, I think my only regret is like not asking her about the chain. Like, why did you take it? I liked it on the dress, girl. But at the same time, like, I'm not saying she stole it or intended to steal it. I don't know if she did or not. I didn't talk to her or ask her, obviously. But at the same time, like, just circumstantial evidence, I'm maybe she was inebriated and like forgot, or like, you know what I totally could see is like someone walking in the bathroom, and especially like if they're intoxicated, and just like picking up the phone next to them instinctively and taking it out and like getting food and then setting it down and not even realizing like that's not their phone. Like, you know, I think I've done that sometimes with like my family's phones, like if I think it's mine, or I'll just, actually no, I don't know if I've ever done that, but I'm just saying it's not completely out of a possibility, because I don't want to accuse this girl of anything. But at the same time, I was a little freaked out and scared, and did not consider that kind of stuff happening at a law school formal event. That's some character and fitness, not great stuff right there for your character and fitness for the bar. And if she didn't intend it, like, good on her. If she did intend it, I hope she never intends to do it again, because it could be a lot worse and a lot worse consequences, instead of just a disgruntled fellow 1L student peer.
This might be a throwaway video or a throwaway account, but my partner of 7 years just broke up with me 2 months before we were supposed to get married. And I wish I could say I didn't see it coming. I wish I could say that I was blindsided, but I wasn't. There were so many issues that were mostly voiced by, they were voiced by both of us. I think I don't know if I'll delete this video. I think I just wanted to share this in hopes of maybe someone out there relating. I feel like he voiced so many times that his needs weren't being met. But I also voiced that in a different way. I needed certain things that he didn't have the capacity to give me. I'm more of a person who needs emotional connection. He's more of a person who needs kind of that constant support space, which both are needed in a relationship. But I think we both swung to one side or another. And so when we broke up and he asked for this space, he said he didn't know how long it would be or what it would look like, and that really activated my nervous system, because hearing your partner that's also your best friend tell you that they don't know what our future is, they don't know what that's going to look like, they are not sure if it's going to be anything. As I'm planning our wedding and I'm picking out dresses and I'm picking out everything about that. We just bought a house a year ago. It just felt so surreal. When he asked for space, I tried as hard as I possibly could, but living in the same house, sharing a dog, having similar paths of life, going to the gym at the same time, or doing things together, it felt so dysregulating to me. And with my career, it was hard for me to show up in my job and feel okay. And even hearing me talk about this, I know that he would, if he was listening to this, he would say that I'm making it about me.
And that's where the hang up was, is that I didn't know after a certain point, maybe about 2 years ago, he started growing a lot of resentment towards me that was spoken in a way that wasn't direct. It was just like he's kind of unhappy with his life. Then it became he's really unhappy with his life, but it never, I asked him if it would involve our relationship. He wouldn't be able to tell me that. He would say that I'm making it about me whenever I asked that question. And so it made me feel like eventually, after like him kind of saying that he didn't know how to cater to the needs that I had, which were kind of feeling connected to him, kind of feeling like we spent more quality time together, that he wanted to spend quality time together. There were moments, there were years where I felt like that, but I think over time I noticed he was growing resentment towards me, towards the life we had, because it didn't feel like his life, which I came to find out at the end. He told me a lot of things that I didn't realize how clearly he felt about them. And so much hurt, so much confusion. I feel like my head's on a swivel, and we ended it amicably, as amicably as it could have. I told him I couldn't do the space anymore and I needed like an answer. And he said basically like, then it's over if you can't give me like more space. And he said he felt relief during the space because I think I needed more to fill my cup in that relationship, and he couldn't give it to me. And I'm sorry if my thoughts are all over the place. It's literally been like 5 days, 6 days. And looking back, even though it's only been 6 days, I see how much I was unhappy in the amount that he could give me. And I think that's the hardest part. And I don't know if he would feel this way anymore, because I kept reaching out for connection after we broke up, and it made him more and more upset until he said that he doesn't even think he likes me, which is really hurtful, but can't really control that. But I think I realized that the hurtful part is that he's a really good person. He's just not a person that's good for me in a relationship. And that's really hard. It's hard to process that. It's hard to understand that like this person was my best friend in so many ways, but maybe just couldn't fill the cup that I needed. And part of me feels like maybe I'm asking for too much, but what I was asking for was just like, I think something that his personality just naturally couldn't give me. And I think he felt like I was unhappy for a long time, that I needed more. And I think that it made him feel like whatever he did wasn't enough. And so, yeah, I'm still processing. If this sits with anyone, if you're in a breakup or in a relationship, going through a breakup or in a relationship that you feel like this relates to, you please, any insight would be helpful, because it's been a roller coaster. It's been a real roller coaster of emotion. And I think his narrative is that he did all of these things for me and it still wasn't enough. But I think my narrative, and I know my narrative, is that I'm so appreciative for what he did. But I did not feel seen in the way that I want to be seen in a relationship. We grew up together. I mean, we were 22 when we got together. I'm 30 now. And I'm angry. I'm angry that it ended. It took this long to end, that we both were like scared to leave. I miss him, but I miss the comfort of like our relationship. But I don't know if I miss as a partner the fact that we were so incompatible in a lot of ways. And what's hard is that friends and family didn't know any of this, and we told them as it was ending. We didn't talk to anyone about kind of the issues we had, because it would be off and on. And so now it's just like telling everyone and having to go through the grief every time I open up to someone about it is really hard. And he doesn't want to talk to me about any emotional things, and that's because we left off amicably and we had a conversation about it. But the way I processed it, it was like I was in shock during that conversation. We actually had 2 conversations, and it's only been like 6 days, and I just wanted to process more with him, and he didn't and does not have the capacity to do that. He specifically told me he never wants to talk about it again. And so, yeah, I don't really know why I'm making this video. I might delete it, honestly, but this is day 6, And I think I'm just gonna keep this up every few days and just check in with myself and keep this video for inspiration for people that are going through something similar. Because 7 years is a long time, but it's also not a lifetime. It's a big chunk of life, but I learned so much about myself, and I hope that he feels the same way. I hope that there's a part of him that learned something.
I am not verified because I'm in cahoots, actually, with the TikTok government. There was an instance where one of my videos did not go viral.
In 6 days, this is the night, my second video on this account, of having my relationship of 7 years end with my partner, who I still have tabs open on my laptop of my wedding dresses. And tell you a little bit of honesty. This is my accountability page, and I don't know if this is right to post on here or not. I don't really know what to do. But I'm living with my mom right now, which never thought I would happen. We had a house, owned a home, and now I'm living with my mom and have our dog here. And I did not think my life would be going like this, but I do want to talk about something about it and get someone's perspective out there who maybe has gone through something maybe similar. But we ended it, and it was so crazy. He actually ended it after wanting space for a while, and really hope no one that we know sees this account, because I might just take these all down. But we talked, and he wanted space. After like over a week of trying really hard to give space and not doing well, I got home from work and I was really dysregulated, which isn't fair, but I eventually said, hey, what does this look like? Because he said he didn't know what the space would look like. He didn't know if it would mean that we would stay together. He didn't know how long it would be. He just needed alone time. And so I tried that. I tried really hard. This is a person that was my best friend for 7 years. Anything that would happen, we would go to each other. We really only had each other in a lot of ways, which wasn't really healthy for a lot of reasons. But yeah, that night I came home and I said I couldn't do space anymore. I was having a really hard time. And you could tell that he wasn't happy with that, and essentially I asked him if this is over, and he said yes, and we both felt this feeling of, I can't speak for him, but for me it was kind of this feeling of relief, but also processing. So I didn't cry, he didn't cry, we didn't cry. It's really weird. I was crying the whole time we had space, like off and on. I was stressed, I was anxious, but when he said it was over, it felt like there was a release there, and I think there was a lot of reasons that I can get into in other videos for that. But we had a conversation, we were amicable, we sat for like an hour and just talked about our relationship and how different we were, how we tried to make it work. We had some laughs, some dark humor, and it felt like we got to a good place. We had another conversation the next morning. I asked if this was a good decision. He said he thought so. And I felt okay. It seemed like he felt okay too. And I think we had another conversation later that morning about it. And then kind of like what to do with the house and where I'm going to stay. And it felt okay. And then my nervous system started to crumble because this person was my regulation, which is not healthy. And there's a lot of reasons why that was too. I mean, we got together when I was 22. I was going through a lot. He was figuring out who he was. And we just kind of developed this unhealthy way of depending on one another. So that happened for years. That was built. He always did everything for me, even without me asking most of the time, which I'm very grateful for. He's gotten me where I am in my life, and I have a lot of guilt for that. I realized my nervous system wasn't able to be regulated without him, and that was a really weird realization because I felt it in my body and not mentally like registering it as much. And so I reached out to him. I reached out to him a lot to gauge how he feels about it, to see if it was real, to see if there was anything we could do, to see if it was salvageable, to see if, and it just reversed every conversation that we had that went well, which was like a couple, but the conversations that we had that went well, it reversed all of those. And I feel so much guilt and shame for that, and I don't want you to feel bad if you're watching this still. I'm just trying to process it, because the more that I pushed and asked questions, it got to a point where he said he wanted to block my number. This person who once slept with me for 7 years doesn't want to talk to me because I can't regulate myself. And I wasn't even rude in like all the messages except for maybe the last message. It wasn't even rude, but it was just me pushing his boundary of, he said he didn't want to talk, pushing his boundary, he didn't want to talk about it again. I just couldn't regulate myself because I needed answers. I needed more, but even though he would give me more answers, I still needed more. And it sucks. It sucks to sit here and sit with that. And I don't know if this is something that someone can relate to. But if it is, I would really love to know, because I am struggling. I feel like I reverted 20 steps and I just started my career. So it's like I just started my career and now I'm basically, I mean, I'm not unhoused, grateful for that, but I'm basically without a house. I have a room. And my dog.
If you are one of those people that has been so stressed out lately, I give you full permission today. Get a silly little overpriced breakfast, watch your silly little show.
Hi friends, okay, so I've hesitated to make this video, but it's kind of my last resort. I'm not really sure what else to do, and I think I need the internet's help. Over spring break, my husband and I took our kids to Europe on a week-long vacation to Spain for spring break. It was an incredibly special opportunity. We had a short amount of time, 7 days, to get over there, have our fun, come back. My husband is a principal, I am a nurse, so our time off together is pretty limited to whenever the kids have breaks. He doesn't get summers off, so spring break, it was our big trip for this year. We flew American Airlines to Spain. We were supposed to leave on Good Friday and got to the airport like a few hours early, settled in at our gate. Kids were so excited, got our bags checked, all ready to go, and there was a mechanical issue with our plane. Which, understand, it happens, right? They were like, okay, we're gonna bring in a new plane, no worries, we're gonna get you guys out of here, get you to Dublin tonight. We were flying Dublin to Malaga, Spain. So Charlotte to Dublin, and then Dublin to Spain. So we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and we wait, hours and hours and hours. Finally, around like 12:45 in the morning, they announced that we aren't actually going to be flying, that our flight has been delayed until the next day at 5 p.m. So now we've already lost a whole day of our vacation. But we were like, you know, guys, we would rather get there safely than, you know, push it, get on an unsafe plane or not have a safe crew. So we took our kids all the way back home, 45 minutes, came back the next evening, ready to go. We were gonna be in Spain like a little less than 24 hours after we were initially supposed to. We were disappointed that we were missing a day, but it like wasn't the end of the world. So we show up for our second flight with our kids in tow again, and there's another mechanical issue with the second plane we were supposed to get on. So that delays us by about 2 hours. This time we're supposed to be flying through London and then London to Malaga, Spain. One layover with our 3 kids. So because that second flight was delayed, it made us miss all of our connections. So while we were in the air, we finally left about 2 hours late to London. And while we were in the air, American Airlines rebooked us, which I figured they probably would. But when they rebooked us with an additional layover in Madrid. So now we're going London to Madrid, then Madrid to Malaga. That put us in a little later than we had originally planned, but we were like, okay, we'll book it to get on this next flight. We'll still be in Spain, in Malaga, like at a reasonable hour. We can spend some time with our family. And we've really only missed like all of Saturday and Sunday now. Not the biggest deal. So we finally make it to Europe. We're in London. We go to get on our next flight with Iberia Airlines, which was partnered with American. So American has done all of the booking. They've had all the delays. They've done our booking through Iberia now. We go to get on our Iberia flight, and they were like, oh, we can't let you on this flight. You don't have a ticket. And I was like, well, I have a physical ticket here. Like, it's on my phone. I can see it. And they said, oh no, American Airlines didn't ticket you correctly. You don't have a ticket number. So now we can't let you on this flight. So then I go back to customer service, and sorry, my dog's freaking out over here. Wait at customer service. I'm on the phone with American, trying to get it sorted with them. I'm face to face with an Iberia agent for 3 hours on Easter Sunday. 3 hours we wait in the London airport, just trying to figure out how they messed up this ticketing and how they can get it fixed. And it was a nightmare. 3 hours, my kids are sitting there. We've flown all night now. This is now the second night that we've been delayed. We're supposed to already be in Spain for 24 hours at this point, and we're sitting in the London airport, and like no one can help us. Finally, after 3 hours, I made a suggestion to just like try to reticket everything, and they did, and it worked. But at that point, we had missed 2 more connecting flight potentials, and now we weren't going to be getting into Spain and into Malaga, Spain, which is where we were going, until like 10:45 at night. So now we've missed all of Saturday and all of Sunday of our vacation, and our connections were so tight. We ran through the airport. We were able to get lunch in London, fortunately, which was like the only meal we had other than on the plane. And then after that, we like ran to our gate in Madrid, barely made it on our flight. Anyway, so I reached out to American Airlines when we got back to the States, because the lady on the customer service line was like, hey, you need to file a complaint about this. Like, they should compensate you for missing a couple of days of your vacation. And the guy at the Iberia was like, also file a complaint, because, you know, this is crazy. No one should have to go through this while they're traveling, especially with their kids. So I tried to reach out to American Airlines, got in touch with their customer service. You can't actually talk to a person on the phone anymore. So wrote them an email. They emailed back and they were like, oh, sorry about that. We'll pass it along. And I was like, hey, that's not really like acceptable. These flights were really expensive, and we missed 2 full days of our vacation, all because of errors from American Airlines specifically. Between the 2 delays from the mechanical issues and then the ticketing issue, we missed almost 48 hours of our vacation, which was not a super long vacation to begin with. And we paid, you guys, when I tell you these flights were not cheap, they were so expensive. So my thought is, we prorate it by day, right? Like, we missed 2 days of our vacation. They should be compensating us for like 2 days worth of just the flight. I'm not even talking about the food, the excursions we missed, the time with family, all of that. I'm talking simply the flights. So American Airlines came back after I sent them an email and said, hey, thoughts and prayers aren't working. I need, this is not okay. They came back and said they would give us $100 credit for each of the kids, and then a sum of miles. They didn't say how many, for both my husband and I. And I said, again, hey, I really don't think that's fair compensation for what we've missed, for the cost of the flight for those 2 days. It really should be more than that. These flights alone cost us around $1,000 a day by the time it was all said and done, just for flights. And the lady called me from American Airlines, and I had a phone conversation with her. I told her, these are my frustrations. These are my concerns. Like, this is what I think is fair compensation. She said, no. And I said, okay, well then I would like to talk to someone else who could maybe help me with this, because like this was really not just an inconvenience, but like a financial burden on our family. And she said I would be getting a call back from someone higher up within 24 to 48 hours. That was a week and a half ago. I have emailed her 3 times since, because that's the only way you can get a hold of someone is by email, and I have heard nothing back. So at this point, I think I need the internet's help. I don't know who to reach out to. If you have a contact at American Airlines, if you know someone that can reach out to us, just to help us maybe recoup some of our costs from a trip that we missed 2 full days of. And again, like, no fault of our own. We were there, we were on time, we had our bags, we had all of our stuff. American Airlines delays, and then the ticketing issue was just ridiculous. And I would love to just be able to talk to someone, and I can't seem to get a hold of a real person. So if you know someone, or if you can tag them here and they can maybe reach out to me, that would be lovely. Thanks, friends.